Hello, today we are going to introduce the equation of the line in a coordinate geometry type situation. So the equation of a line in coordinate geometry is most often given as y is equal to the slope times x plus the y-intercept. So y is equal to mx plus c, just saying out the letters. So y is equal to m, the slope, multiplied by x plus some constant, which is going to be the y-intercept. That is to say, 0c is a point on the line, and it's where our line crosses the y-axis. So this is a very easy way to read off the equation of a line if we have the picture, or to draw the picture if we have the equation in this form. So if we take our two lines here, L and K. If I wanted to work out what the equations of these lines were, I could look for their y-intercept, where they cross the y-axis, and then I could look for what their slope is. And I know how to find both of those things. So if I look to L first, I have my y-intercept for L. So let's write down L. My y-intercept, if I look at where I cross the y-axis, the point x is 0, y is 2. X is 0, y is 2. That's a point on my line. That's where I cross the y-axis. So that's my y-intercept. Intercept. And what's the slope of this line? Well, let's look at where the line crosses our grid lines. So that's always the easiest way to read off our slope if we have the equation of a line instead of specific points. Look for where our line, our blue line here, is crossing the grid lines. So I'll pick any 2 points, does not really matter which ones, but where does it cross the grid lines that I've drawn my graph on. So it crosses here and it crosses here. So if I rise by 2, I run across by 1. If I rise by 2, I run across by 1. Or if I prefer to write it the other way, I could say that I run across by 1 and rise by 2, whichever you prefer. Either way will give the same result. So the slope of L, which would be little m for slope and then L for our line, would be 2 over 1. So the slope then, slope of L would be 2 over 1, which we usually just write as 2. Now another way that we could have gotten that slope is pick 2 points on our graph and use our equation formula. Our y minus y, y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. That's another important formula that links in with this equation because this equation involves the slope. And we already know about the slope being rise over run like I did here, or my y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1, my slope formula that is on page 18 in my log tables along with this formula. So if I pick 2 points here on my line, well, I already have one. 0, 2 is one of the points on my line. If I pick another point, say the one that I had here, that would be in the door 3, up the stairs 8. So 3, 8 is a point on my line, and 0, 2 is a point on my line. If I have 2 points on the line, that's all I need. So my slope for L, I would need to write down my 2 points, which I'll do up here. 0, 2 and 3, 8. And I can pick any 2 points on the line that I like. These are just ones that I happen to pick, and the y-intercept is obviously a fairly easy one to pick. It's my x1, y1, and my x2, y2. And I sub in, I do need to rewrite that. ML, I have my formula here. I sub in 8 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. When I put that into my calculator, I just get 2. So I can put all of this into my calculator and I'll get 2, exactly the same as what I got when I used my graph to find my slope. So then what's the equation of L going to be? Well, L, I have my y is equal to mx plus c, and that is going to be y is equal to, my slope is just 2. My slope is 2, so slope multiplied by x plus whatever my y-intercept was. Well, I found my y-intercept was at 2, so that's plus 2, and that's the equation of L. Now K, I'm going to do slightly more briefly, but as you can see exactly how we would approach this. I look for my y-intercept, so for K, my y-intercept is at, start at the origin, in the door, or 0, up the stairs 7. And I have my slope, mk. I can start at any points that I like. So we'll say here to here. And why am I going from there to there? Because it's crossing the grid lines there and there. So I rise by -1, I drop 1, and I go across by 2. So -1, 2. So the slope of k then is going to be rise of -1 all over rise of -1 all over rise of -1 all over run of 2. So then my equation of k is going to be y is equal to -1/2 x minus half multiplied by x mx plus 7 for my y-intercept. Now, just to point out, there's two things that are important about L and K here that link in with what we are working on at the moment. And that is, we can see that these two lines, the red line, the blue line, L and K, are perpendicular to each other. That means they're at right angles to each other. We put in a right angle mark here. They're at right angles to each other. So we say L and K are perpendicular to each other. And we also can see something else about them. We can see where they cross each other, which in maths we call intersect. Where things overlap each other or cross each other, we call intercept. So what's the intersection of L and K? Well, we start at the origin, cross by 2 and up by 6. So the point 2, 6 would be the point of intersection of L and K. I'm going to write those two things down for us here. So we have L intersection K. This is, remember, from sets. The intersection is our upside down U or our N symbol. So L intersection K is at 2, 6. They cross over each other at 2, 6. And I've written it in English for you here. And L is perpendicular to K, so L and K are right angles. They cross each other at right angles. So those are two important things that link into what we're doing at the moment with the equation of the line. Now let's have a look at a different style of the same question. So if we're told the slope of a line is 3 and it has the point 0 minus 4 is a point on the line, then we have all the information we need to write down the equation of our line. Now we have to be given the y-intercept for this to work. So this only works if the point we're given is the y-intercept. So what we can do is write down our formula. Y equals mx plus c, and y is going to be the slope, 3 times x, and the y-intercept is the only number we can put in here. And in this case, it's plus minus 4. So y is equal to 3x minus 4. Now, again, very important point, this only works because this is the y-intercept when x is 0. This does not work with any random point you pick on the line. It has to be the y-intercept. So we have to double check that the x value we're given is 0, or that they call this point the y-intercept. And likewise with we have an equation of a line n we're looking for. So n has a slope of 3 over 2, and 0, 5 is an element of the line n. Remember, a line is just a whole bunch of points. It's a description. So this is a description of all of the points that sit on this blue line. All of the points that sit on this blue line are described by this maths sentence. So one of the points on the line n is the point 0, 5, and we can see from the fact that x is 0 that this is the y-intercept. So that means that we can just write down our formula, mx plus c, and we have y is equal to the slope is 3 over 2, x plus 5. In this case, it's just plus 5, so we don't need to worry about our substitution too much. So that is the equation of our line n. And that is what we need for the introduction to our equations of our lines.